There is a whole world of cinema to be discovered. You just have to overcome that 1-inch barrier known as subtitles. This is That 1-Inch Barrier, a podcast dedicated to all things international cinema. I'm Nick Barrow, and I'm joined here today by the elite squad of podcasting. Josh, Barry, Kieran Griffiths. Both killers in their own right. The Bope themselves of podcasting. All alleged they have not killed anyone. I will just put that out there.
That we know of.
That we know of course. But
allegedly.
Welcome back to another episode, gentlemen. Welcome back to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to Brazil for the first time ever.
I can't believe
on
that.
the podcast. I've never been to Brazil actually in real life. Have you?
No.
No. This movie doesn't necessarily it's not like glaring tourism for Brazil, but I'm excited we finally went there cinematically because there are films, actually one that we will talk about at the end of this episode where we'll be going back to Brazil at next month's episode.
I think we've all wanted to pick City of God at one point or another.
I think we have. Yeah.
We've all thought about it.
Yeah. And then as this started, I was like,
literally, I was like, am I
This
watching
is
City of God right now?
From another
2.0.
perspective.
Yeah, from the police
but
perspective.
as it started, the initial credit bits are almost identical because I don't know if you remember. So I've always loved the City of God opening bit where the chicken and it goes to black screen and it flashes on and off. And this is
very
It came out at a similar time because this was 2007.
Yes, City of God's 2002, 3 or 4?
Two, I think 2.
So very similar time, obviously same country. Set in the same city, both set in Rio de Janeiro.
2002 for City of God,
And then done with the same voiceover.
Yes, there's a narration throughout the film.
Definitely feels like Elite Squad borrows quite heavily. And I mean,
but then,
great film to borrow from.
Yeah,
City of God's fantastic.
But then as you say, from the opposite side of it.
Yes, where a city of God sort of deals with the drug dealers and the criminals in the slums and the ghettos and the favelas.
Yes,
that's the word I was trying to come up with. Make me sound intelligent for once. This is dealing with the police, specifically the military police, the SWAT team, the BOPE.
The BOPE, as we like to call them, or as the English translation would have us know them as, the Special Police Operations Battalion. So yes, this is a 2007 film, Elite Squad, which is based on the novel Elite de Tropa, which translates to Elite Squad, which is based on a real police squad in Brazil, in a special squad in clearing out the favelas, basically taking down drug lords and stuff, in a very tumultuous time in Brazil's political and social history. Finally, we talk about the similarities to City of God because Better the Devil You Know, screenwriter Braulio Mantovani wrote City of God and he wrote Elite Squad.
Man knows what he's talking about.
That's it. You know what they say? Don't fix the wheel. Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Don't fix the wheel. Don't fix the wheel. Don't fix the wheel. If it's not broken, or maybe don't invent it either,
or don't
reinvent the wheel.
Don't fix the police car,
or don't fix the police car. Which
that classic saying, "Squeaky sliced bread gets the early worm."
That's exactly right. And steal funds from the government to fix police cars and pocket it for yourself. Corruption is the name of the game of Elite Squad, but it's directed by Jose Padilla. Whose probably most notable work outside of Brazil was the RoboCop remake in 2014, the only English language film.
That wasn't terrible.
No,
which is the best thing I can say about that.
Some really great action scenes, which obviously he laid the groundwork for that in this film because this is a visceral, violent movie. But it follows the BOPE. It's going to be fun to say every time. This Special Police Operations Battalion, who are instructed by the government, instructed by the police ultimately to crack down on the favelas and the drug lords and the crimes that are happening there in the weeks leading up to a visit from Pope John Paul II. So ultimately they are clearing out...
Big Dog.
And
wait, no, that's not the one that just died. That was a different
one. John Paul died a few years ago. Then we had Francesco, and now we got Francis. Rest in peace to all the...
Good little Catholic schoolboy over here.
There's a man of God right here. City of God. But yeah, so it's ultimately just... There's a lot of stories, a lot of characters in this film that is sort of a sort of look into the personal lives of people at various stages of their policing careers, basically. So we got Wagner Moura, who is our main character as, lost it there, guys. Captain Roberto Nascimento. who is in charge of Bope. He is I don't know what his position would be.
He's a captain.
Yeah, he kind of
leads a squad within.
Leads a squad, Bope. Yeah. And he is looking for a way out. His wife is pregnant and so expecting a child, and he wants to sort of move to a job that is less dangerous, doesn't require him to go into the favelas. So he's tasked to find a successor, in which we're then introduced to two new characters. They are rookie police officers and best friends, Andre and Nito, who, while starting to sort of do more manial police work, both apply it for Bope. And then it's sort of about them going through the training and realizing that there's a lot of corruption within this system, and whether they want to either stand out and bring it down or just be a part of the corrupt system that is sort of leading this clearance of the favelas. So getting intertwined with drug dealers, government money getting spent on things that it shouldn't be spent on. And yeah, it's very much a volatile look at that Brazilian government system and policing system during this time.
Like,
so
it, at times, is a frustrating watch. Because,
super frustrating. Yeah.
I mean, this agency's basically there to police the police because because they need that.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
the police are so corrupt that you need a special forces unit to basically, which is funny because then the police are the ones who are like, we'll call on them for help when they
are out of their depth.
You know, the police go into they've got to hide a body of someone that they killed, and they go back into the favelas and they get into this firefight and they're like, help me, Bope, I need help. Like, it's that thing where like they hate the fact that these guys are here, but they are the guys with the assault rifles who come in with military training and have to do the dirty work. And a lot of people on both sides of the law and moral compass die in this film. It's a very brutal, visceral, almost, it's like an action film, but it's not the type of action you sit there and go, fuck yeah. It's in your face, and it's it's not that.
It's not the Raid.
It's not the Raid.
No, it's not the Raid.
Yeah. Even though it has like a lot of stylistic similarities, the context and the way the violence is supposed to make you feel is not as exciting, I guess you could say so. But yeah, it's very much also this character study, and it has this narration from Wagner Moura's character, Captain Roberto Nascimento. So he's basically giving context throughout the entire film. Literally, like, there's almost like not moments where the narration isn't happening.
No.
Ultimately being like, you are watching what he's saying happening, but then he will be like, this is the players in this part of the game, and this is why this is an issue. And then we get like a couple of sentences being like, I need to get the fuck out of here. Like, this is not good for me anymore. I've got a kid on the way, and like, I'm getting into all of these dangerous situations. He's struggling to find someone who is as obviously, like, for lack of a better word, like, good at his job. Like, he's finding there's him. He needs a successor, tough. And he's like, tough is the big one. Which I will admit, I know we usually talk about favorite scenes later on. The scene during like the boot camp is one of my favorite things. So just watching these guys get drilled and him like forcing people to quit. It was just so great. Like, weeding out these weak guys was great. So it's just this man who is like so hell bent on trying to fix this corrupt system, but it has broken him ultimately.
He has a very black and white view of everything as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
there's no gray areas. He is like I am the only thing that's sort of holding the world together.
Yeah, literally.
We are the line between order and chaos kind of stuff. You know, he's like, and the drug dealers are scum and deserve to die, and the corrupt cops are scum and deserve to die, and the teenagers who buy drugs off of the drug lords all deserve to die. Basically, everyone who's not me deserves to die.
Well, and it's funny that because that mentality though leads into the fact that these drug lords in the favelas, one who we get to know probably more so than the others based on his relationship with one of those rookie police officers in that same group of people that he knows, even talks about the fear that they have of Bope. Because they will come in and fuck people up. They are not afraid to kill whoever they have to kill.
You kill a cop, it'll kind of go away.
Exactly.
You kill a Bope,
like, that's vengeance
officer.
That's hell incarnate for those guys. So there's a genuine. It's not even respect. I think it's funny. You watch a lot of American gangster films where there's this weird sort of synergy between gangsters and cops, and while it is very much like a paying off, and there's not necessarily like a healthy respect, there's still this like respect code. In Elite Squad, in Brazil, in the favelas, it is a lawless land.
Yeah.
And it is fear. It is 100% fear that drives people to make these decisions. And Bope it's like that fear of letting the chaos out of their control. So they have to have this like iron fist presence, iron fists holding fucking assault rifles and going absolutely gangbusters.
I mean, they're at the point where there is no law really to them.
No.
To fix the law, I guess.
They
are the law.
Literally, the judge dreads of the favelas.
Like torturing.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of plastic bag.
Love a bit of torture.
Love a bit of torture.
A lot of plastic bag torture in this film. They love throwing a plastic bag over people's heads. Oh my God.
Do. But it's funny, you're kind of like, oh my God, I can't. But eventually they get it out of them.
That's the thing, right? They get the result.
They get the result.
So you have this complexity, this complex feeling watching it being like, shit, the streets are safer because they did that. But like, should they have done that? And it's funny you talk about how there's like, we're talking about a lawless land and you're saying like the law's going to control. It's like funny, one of the rookie police officers, Andre, is going to law school.
Yeah.
Like he wants to be a part of the problem a part of fixing the problem.
Yeah.
And he knows Bope is a way to do that as well because he kind of, once they start working in the police force, they see that corruption firsthand. And he's like, well, I'm going to law school. And he gets entangled. I believe it's Andre. He gets entangled with
Maria.
Yes, with Maria. They come into contact with a marijuana dealer, basically. And Andre has this complex relationship with his pot smoking love interest. And
because she's in the favelas trying to like help out the poor kids.
They work for like a non-government organization.
Yeah, like she's teaching them how to read and write.
Yeah.
But all kind of under the watchful eye of the drug lord who kind of runs that favela. And so he's sort of like, these people are doing good, but also they're enabling, these drug lords. And some of them are buying, the drugs off of him to then sell at, their university. So are they any better?
Yes.
And
he probably has the biggest moral crisis of the film, Andre does. In my opinion.
I think so, because you've got the two sort of aspirants that Wagner Moura's character is looking for his protege.
Yes.
You've got Nito, who he sort of sees a lot of himself in.
Yes.
He's a bit of a hothead, a bit of a, I'm here to shoot bad guys and, take
clean
no
up means kill, yeah.
And then you've got Andre, who is more of like he's studying law.
Yeah.
He wants to, he doesn't want to just tear the system down. He wants to make the system work better and fix things, not just destroy everything.
Not be the system, right? Yeah.
And so we sort of see them, and they're best friends.
They're best friends, yeah.
And they kind of, I guess, don't know that they're sort of competing for this, this role that the captain's going to leave vacant.
Yes.
But two very different personalities, and sort of seeing, I guess, those two sides of Captain Nascimento's character sort of split across these two other characters. And how they change after a bit of time in the system.
Well, that's
being exposed to it firsthand.
Because Captain Nascimento doesn't necessarily have, I guess, like an emotional character arc throughout the film. He kind of starts and finishes the film.
No, he's pretty jaded when he starts. He's pretty jaded when he finishes.
But it's funny watching Andre and Nito ultimately sort of cross paths multiple times with their own moral dilemmas. And I think while Wagner Moura is the lead actor of the film and he is the narrator and he is giving us all the context, the movie's more about these two friends, I think, from an emotional standpoint anyway. Which I think gives you a very unique sort of insight into what life would be like as a police officer in what feels like a lawless land. And I think there's in this too, when you watch this film, you are taking in a lot of preconceived notions about what you know about Brazil and the favelas and the crime that happens in South America. So when you are seeing a lot of it play out on screen and the very intense visceral reactions from some institution like BOPE, it's almost like it's sanitized a little bit. I think I was expecting a lot of the violence in this film, and that's, like I said, that's all preconceived notions of what I've heard about Brazilian, about crime and favelas and stuff. So it's kind of funny not funny. It was interesting to have that more emotional look at it through Andre and Nito's characters, as opposed to like a whole movie about Nascimento being like, literally like Rambo, like Brazilian Rambo being like, I'm cleaning up the favelas. It's a completely different film if those two aren't in this movie, for sure.
I mean, I think we spoke about we've spoken about this a lot, but especially with Itamama Tambien and stuff about the political time.
Yes, yeah.
About
and being a young
classism.
person in that time,
Like,
right?
Andre is obviously talking to all these rich kids.
Yes. Yeah,
saying, you know, you guys are a big part of the problem. You don't think you are. And I felt watching it like, if you were in that sort of more middle to upper class in Brazil watching this movie, you would maybe start to think about.
You would hope so, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not buy as many drugs as, you know.
Not become a little
you might
mini drug dealer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
it's really interesting though, because I was thinking about this while watching it, and I've been thinking about it since, in that I'm struggling to understand what the film's stance is.
Yes.
Because on one hand, you've sort of got, you know, like obviously the drug lords are bad. Like that's just a given.
Yeah.
But then you've got the film sort of saying that, you know, these teenagers and, you know, these upper middle class people who are, you know, either buying the drugs for themselves or buying it so that they can, you know, then deal it on to their friends are just as bad. And they're enabling it and they're part of the problem. And then you've got these same kids saying that, like, you know, all the cops are corrupt and terrible, which we're seeing evidence of.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is it like the scenes where it's like, this is just pure propaganda?
Yeah.
Right. Where this is just being like, Bope is the best thing ever. You know, everyone else sucks, and you know, Bope does the right thing by torturing people and executing them. But then it's like, oh, but actually, like, there's so much corruption within the police, and all these kids who are protesting against like the police violence are right to think this. So I think the film has a stance. I just don't know if it knows what it is.
It's interesting we're talking about this. So obviously because it's based on a book, and the book was written by two of Rio de Janeiro's military police, named Andre and Rodrigo. And they wrote it in conjunction with a sociologist and anthropologist. And ultimately what the book is, it's a semi-biographical, semi-fictional, day-to-day recount of what it was like to be a BOPE officer, and then there's some historical events that are like added throughout the book. So it serves as inspiration for a lot of the propaganda stuff. I think what happens when you bring in that screenwriter of City of God is then you get this other story of being like, there is this movie here that is the day-to-day of these guys who did clean up the favelas in a sense, but whether you agree with their methods or not is what you bring to the film. And then I think adding that extra socio-political layer on top of it through these two young characters who are witnessing the corruption in real time, because I don't think the book delves into that as much from what I was reading about it. I think it's very much more of a day-to-day recollection of this is what we did. I guess like for a more contemporary contextual thing, it's like Warfare, the movie Warfare. You were just watching what happened in real time of this, what your stance on the Iraqi war is not applicable to what this movie is saying right now. I think that's the book, Elite Squad, and then they've added that political context on top of it. So I think there is identity crisis, like you're kind of alluding to.
I think the film has morals. I just don't know if it's consistent across the film, and I don't know if it knows what its ultimate standpoint is.
Do you think having the action feel so stylized as well doesn't help?
Yeah.
It's brutal. Don't get me wrong. It's fucking brutal action. But there were moments where I was going, oh, this is really cool and really well shot. And I'm like, oh, am I supposed to be
I think if you're going to
feeling this? Like,
if you're going to be critical.
Yes.
So if the film's intention was to be critical of police corruption and like the violence and the torture and all these other things and the ethics around it, I think it's to film it like it's Rambo or it's Dredd or it's, you know, The Raid, I think leaves a bit of a sour taste. But I think if the film's message was to be, you know, fucking oorah, Bope are the best thing ever,
then they've done it well.
Then that's great. You know, because it's like
that message comes across.
It's like a recruitment video for Bope. But then I think having all these moral complexities around, you know, the fact that it's like a cyclical you know, thing of
corruption
and kids who are going to grow up to be these drug lords and these gangsters and these thugs because that's the only option for them. I think so. Then include that, it makes it. There's two different films here.
Yes,
you know, there's that City of God style film. And then there's that Raid style film. And I just think they're both good. I just think they clash too much. Within the same film.
It says the book was controversial at the time of release too. I think a lot of people read it and they're like, oh, this is a very sort of controversial story to tell ultimately for these two military police officers to almost expose the fact that
that this is all.
And maybe the context of the book was like they were proud of what they did as well. So it brings this whole other layer again. And again, this isn't like literally like what Kieran just said. This isn't us coming at it from either an indictment of it or a celebration of it, because we don't know.
No.
That I've walked away from this film being
there,
like,
you know?
yeah, exactly. So if the book itself was controversial, yet a movie that was as celebrated as it is was still made and is talked about and has a sequel, by the way, there's a sequel to this film that is far more the Raid, like action film. So I think that almost answers the question. If there wasn't a sequel, we might still be asking the fact of this, but like the fact that there is an action heavy sequel that is just propaganda is kind of like brings forward like, oh no, they're just like appraising the fact that they used whatever force they needed to kill all the drug lords and criminals in these favelas.
Even if it means like torturing children.
Even if it means torturing children, which is a very confronting
which I feel like
the
sequel was where this first film then
blew up.
To get, blew up.
Yeah.
It's got quite a cult following.
Yeah. The second film definitely critically was like really renowned. I remember when
this has got quite mixed
Yes.
despite the fact that it won the Golden Bear, which is the top award at the Berlin Film Festival.
Interesting.
Wow.
Not something I would have picked for a film festival
not have picked that.
winner.
Yeah.
But quite a mixed critical reception. I've noticed a lot with Brazilian films, weirdly specifically Brazilian films on Letterboxd and things like that, like rated extremely highly. Yeah. Because I think people from Brazil, when a Brazilian film comes out, it doesn't matter what it is.
There's a lot of talk about that with Fernando Torres and I'm Still Here. Is that like when Brazil don't have a film in contention for international awards, the contingent, probably still votes, but are less inclined to. And then Fernando Torres is shortlisted, and then all the Brazilian contingent comes out and goes, that's our fucking girl. We will talk about that next month. But you know what I mean? Like,
but they get
very behind it.
Very behind anything that their country does. I mean, I think, this has like a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes.
But it has a 4 on Letterboxd.
It's the sequel, just to give more context, has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, right.
Beloved film. But it is a just fucking balls to the wall action film. Whereas this has action.
The second one.
Yeah. This first one has action, but it's just.
But you look at some of the reviews from the time.
Yeah.
Where was it here? So after its exhibition in the Berlin Film Festival, a critic from Variety called the movie a one-note celebration of violence for good that plays like a recruitment film for fascist thugs.
Yeah. You can see why people would think that.
I liked the movie, but I completely agree with that assessment.
Yeah.
Because there are scenes where it's like, this is just cops beating the shit out of people and shooting people, without any regard for who they are or what they've done.
Yeah.
So, and funnily, this is just a bit further down from that, a researcher of urban violence at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro tried to explain why people were celebratory of some of the actions in the film. And he said, as the judiciary system cannot keep up with the demand for punishment, some may think civil rights leads to unpunishment and they want illegal solutions. So that's why someone like Captain Nascimento is called in.
Yeah.
And
it's that vigilantism.
It's vigilantism.
But it's like government sanctioned.
So it's okay, right? That's it. Yeah. It's like if it's the government I voted in for is doing that, then that's okay because I voted them in for. What I mean?
It's like
especially when
these
you're
are good
not
guys,
the one.
these are bad guys, and it doesn't matter what methods are used.
When you're not pulling the trigger, it's okay, right? Like that's the thing. But it's the complexity with Batman. Like 100%.
Yeah.
It's why everyone's like, I fucking love Batman. It's like, yeah, but.
If that happened in real life.
Remember when he beat the shit out of a criminal kid at the beginning of the Batman and he kind of sit there and go like, wow, was he? Oh, okay. Shit.
I just sort of love the thing where it's like, Batman's like, oh, I don't kill people, but he'll like, put them in hospital.
Yeah, he's like, you're in a coma. You're in a coma for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
it's like
you're now quadriplegic. It's like, thanks, Batman.
But that's the thing. It's vigilantism is the best way to...
Bruce Wayne comes and visits you at the hospital.
He's like, ooh. This is my first time seeing this. Ooh.
You should see the other guy.
His wipes his knuckles off.
But I think it's really impressive that a film that does seem like just a straight up, cops shooting the bad guys kind of movie can generate this kind of discussion.
Yeah, for sure.
There's definitely a lot more to it, and I think that's in part because it is set in a country that we're unfamiliar with,
Totally.
a culture that we're unfamiliar with, in a time that we don't know much about. I think you have this film set in the States, and it comes across as disingenuous.
Totally.
Because while there are like the equivalent of favelas and the equivalent of drug lords, it's not this. It isn't a third world country. It's a developed nation. So I think. Is there more of, I guess, a tolerance and a lenience towards these sort of actions?
Sure.
In a place where the normal sort of rule of law does not apply as much.
I immediately, when I was watching this, was thinking of End of Watch, the Jake Gyllenhaal.
There's a goddamn. That is pure propaganda.
That's pure propaganda. Great movie.
God, I love it.
Great movie. I love it. And that's the thing. I remember I was like 16, 17 when it came out. And I remember walking out with my mate and I was like, we're going to become cops. We're going to be fucking police officers. That never happened. And that speaks to where I was as a 16-year-old. I watched it 2 nights ago and I still want to be a cop. No, but in the sense of like that, it very much that same thing. Like there is a sensationalization. Sensationalization would be the right word. That comes with the fact that we know at the end of the day, maybe not so much in 2025, but like you walk out going, America will be okay at the end of the day. At 16, that's what we thought. Oh, how the mighty fall. But then, that's exactly right. Like my preconceived notions of the favelas and the criminal underworld of Brazil absolutely played a part in how I walked away from this film going like, oh, I don't know. Oh, okay. I have a dirtier feeling about this.
Is that what it takes?
100%.
To clean it
up, to make people safe. And then when you think when it comes back to it, the whole reason that they're going into these favelas and cleaning them up is because the Pope is visiting,
coming
and he wants to stay at the bishop's house,
that
and the bishop basically lives in the favela.
Yeah.
So like, all of these people are suffering, right? Like you've got Wagner Moura's character is having like a mental breakdown because he's, constantly scared that he's going to get killed in the line of duty.
Yeah, because I mean, as that's announced for them to do that, he's dead against it. He's like, no,
that?
like he can stay somewhere else.
Yeah,
like, I'll pay for.
Yeah,
I'll pay for.
I'll put him up in a hotel.
They're like, no, he wants to stay. Yeah,
so you've got these BOPE agents risking their lives for the Pope to stay where he wants to stay. You've got these people, like, some of them are drug dealers and whatever else, the gangsters, but there's a lot of just innocent bystanders.
Yeah.
All these people suffering
because
one fucking dude wants
do you know what's funny about that? I was just curious about it. Roman Catholicism is the largest religious denomination in all of Brazil.
Yeah.
So then you go, and
I think it has the second or even the largest Catholic population.
Right. Okay.
Of any country in the world.
So then
like Brazil and the Philippines, weirdly.
It makes that, the Philippines are super Christian. It makes those scenes with Andre talking involved with this university group even more complex now, because they're probably excited that the religious leader of their denomination
the Pope's visiting,
is coming to our country. You know what I mean? What is happening
is having to do.
So not the fact that they're buying the drugs that are also putting these people in these situations, but their leader of their fake religion is coming to the country for a little visit to the bishop's house. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy. It's like, it's just all these things that again, classism, especially in a South American film, is just super, very complex. But again, to what Kieran said, it makes this film even harder to pin down as to what the fuck it is. Did I have a good time watching it? For the most part, I think it's a very well-made film. Stylistically, it's very visceral. I think Jose Padilla is a very kinetic director. The narration irked me at points. I was like, shut the fuck up sometimes. There was way too much of it.
That's my biggest gripe with the film.
Totally.
Especially because we've just come from a film that does not hold your hand at all. And goes, here's the movie, figure it out. Whereas this is the most sort of hand-holdy, explain everything, so overt. Like you said, there is never more than a couple of minutes where Wagner Moura's character is not telling you exactly what he's thinking, feeling, what's happening. It's like,
I was like, or even just what you're seeing on the screen. I'm like, no, I know, dude, I'm watching this. Like, I'm good. I'm good, bro.
I think if you closed your eyes, you could still probably tell like what 95%.
I checked at one point, did I have audio description on? I was like, wait a second. And while I don't mind the sultry, smooth tones of Wagner Moura's voice, it was just too much for this movie. But I think technically there's a lot to like about this movie. And I appreciate films that don't shy away from contextual brutal violence, as much as it pained me to watch people get tortured and suffocated. They fucking love the plastic bag. I think I saw like 4 or 5 people, a child included, get plastic bag. But I appreciate that the movie's not scared to show it, whatever their stance on it is.
Yeah.
You know, and however you interpret it, how you interpret it. I didn't love it. Shocking after I said I want to be a cop after watching End of Watch. But yeah, in the sense, like, I appreciate the movie for showing it no matter how uncomfortable it is. So
I think that's where the moral conundrum comes into it, right?
100%.
Is if you're going to show that sort of gratuitous violence, you have to have a stance on it. And I think the film, I don't know if it does.
I don't think
if it does,
I
don't think it's consistent.
But I don't know if I want to watch it again to find out.
No.
In that regard as well. Like, this isn't one where I'm going to be like dying to rewatch it.
No. I think to be completely sort of apolitical and to be completely sort of neutral in your stance. Like, but Warfare, again, we keep coming back to it because we've all just seen it recently. I think that's a great example of a film that just goes, here's the facts.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
We're not presenting this to you with any sort of preconceptions or any sort of message or bias. It's just this is the facts.
Totally.
Yeah. Make your mind up about it.
Even Civil War, to an extent, on a like larger, more political scale, for a sense. Like, I know a lot of people said that film feels apolitical, and Alex Garland has come out and says like, no, this is an anti-war film.
Yeah.
But it's one of those ones where when you are watching it, what you bring to it will sort of make or break how you feel about certain characters in the film.
Yeah, true.
I just don't think Elite Squad does that well.
No, and we're all going to bring our own biases and our own thoughts and feelings, politically and socially towards the film.
Especially of political violence, and especially of like government-based induced violence, in criminal underworlds. Like, that's sort of,
That's it. And I'm sure there are people who, have like the thin blue line stickers on the back of their F-150s getting a hard on watching this.
Put another plastic bag on that kid's head. It's like, it's fucked up. Like, don't do that.
in the same way that someone who goes around saying that all cops are bastards.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
it's going to be like, this is a piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that just promotes police corruption
and
violence towards poor people.
It's exactly what you said at the beginning as well with Nascimento. He is that black and white.
Yeah.
So then you watch the film, if you like, oh, I have like gray areas about things, like I'm like, I hate, like, it's bringing it to Australia, I hate the youth crime that's happening at the moment. I want it to stop. But I'm also not like, don't shoot every kid on sight who steals a car. But also I'm like, then people becoming vigilantes. I'm like, well, I get where they're coming from too. So there's gray areas and all of that.
Yeah.
Nascimento's like, kill them all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Yeah, whoa.
He is not a good person.
No.
But I think the film's issue is that it tries to present him
as
a hero.
Yeah.
When I think he's very much.
And we don't have a lot of context of how he became that. Was he forced into that because of shit he just saw?
Well, as we saw with the training, because like they go through the boot camp with the new recruits, and they sort of go, you have to be ready to just pull the trigger.
Yeah.
You have to be ready to just put everything you think about, anything you think about this aside, and you just have to be ready to do your job, and your job is to just, kill these people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more complex than I think it appears on the surface.
Totally.
But I think it's also very uncertain of itself.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. That's my elevator pitch. But no, it's true though. It's like, because I think we've all said it by now, we haven't walked away from this film feeling satisfied in the sense of, I don't have any more context to run off of whether this is like something I want to find out more about as well, or maybe pursue more films that are about, aside from City of God, which again shows it from a completely different perspective. It doesn't show it from a government official police perspective, even though it's a very similar style set story. It's just the other side of the coin. So I mean, I would go City of God over this, of course, because City of God's almost a fucking masterpiece of film, which you'll find out why one day, I guess, in about 9 million episodes. But
when one of us actually picks it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when we're brave enough to do it. So yeah, it's just one that I walked away from going, as much as on a film level there was a lot that I loved, I actually just feel very unsatisfied And it's not that I want films to preach to me or give me the answers, but Kieran has said it multiple times, like just have a stance. If you're going to talk about something, have a stance.
Yeah.
Especially on a filmic level.
Yeah. I think the problem is...
Would you plastic bag a child, Josh? No.
I feel like the whole like kind of essence of what it was putting out, the title, the you know, the font of the way they do it, it feels like an Expendables kind of,
literally,
the Raid.
I'm shocked Sylvester Stallone didn't rock up in a post-credit scene sort of thing.
Kind of go into it thinking it's going to be this just cool action thing, but then it could have been. It could have been for sure, and maybe
it is just
remember
propaganda.
The second one, but
that's very much just like action-packed propaganda. It's just like they're just busting up the favelas for 2 hours again. Yeah.
So obviously lent into that side of it.
Totally. Yeah. That's it. And you know, the Raid's a great example because like that is another not as developed country as America, set in Indonesia. Similar thing with crime lords and a warlord, a drug lord who has overtaken a building. Questionable police officers doing questionable things, but because the movie's just like, but how sick is it that good guys are killing bad guys in really awesome martial arts ways? So we just sit there and go, I can mess with that. That's good. That's good shit. So it's,
and I think because the Raid doesn't sort of proclaim to have this bigger, larger stance.
Exactly.
It is just like this is a fully seen.
But as soon as Andre and Nito are introduced into this film, we have that straight away because we are seeing the corruption that is happening. And then it just, it changes the dynamic completely. So,
like it starts asking questions that I don't think it necessarily knows how to answer. Whereas the Raid, by comparison, doesn't ask those questions.
Yeah.
It just goes, this is just one guy against the odds.
You like seeing dickheads get kicked in the head and you're like, hell yeah. It's like, well, shit, man, I got a movie for you. It's called The Raid.
The Raid has far more in common with John Wick.
100%
than it does with Elite Squad.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think as I know it's one of the only other Brazilian films that I've seen, but I think the comparisons between this and City of God are pretty clear.
Yes.
As we talked about with the same screenwriter. I just think City of God approaches it from a much more nuanced perspective.
Yeah. Character-driven perspective.
Yeah. And I think it's very hard to make a film like this from a position of privilege.
Yes, that is a fucking great way of putting it. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You're looking at this from the perspective of the people with the guns.
Yeah. 100%.
With the training, with the backing,
with the financial backing, with
Whereas City of God, it's trying to tell it's the story of the people living day to day in the favela,
who aren't a part of this escalating war to an extent.
Who are the victims,
or who kind of get forced into it as well. Like that's
like Elite Squad is almost like, won't someone think of the poor guy who bagged a child? Like, he's the real victim in all of this.
And he didn't want to have to do it. And you're like,
is he though?
He's like, he forced his hand. I'm like, he looked like he enjoyed it. Like, it's this like,
he's getting hard on while he did it.
Dichotomy. Star ratings. Let's wrap this one up. So Kieran, kick us off.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. The more we've talked about it, the more I've kind of wanted to go positive, but I think I have too many issues with it to not go for 3.
Sure.
I think it's still a good film. It's still an entertaining film. And I think it has a lot of promise.
Yeah.
But I think the ethics of it, and I think the fucking narration.
Yes.
Yeah. The narration is too much.
Yeah. That's enough to drop it down for me. I'm genuinely interested to watch the second one because I think the second one sounds like it's a bit more confident in its own tone.
Yeah.
And I think the performance is really good.
Yeah, I think the
as
main
much
three,
as he's a black and white character, I think Wagner Moore does a really good job.
Yeah. And he has an intensity to him that he brings to a lot of his roles now as well.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's a really great.
And I think the guys who play Andre and Nito, the sort of two junior officers, they're both really good as well. In terms of displaying their different kind of characteristics.
Yeah.
Lot to like about it. Definitely more positive than some of the other 3s that I've potentially given out, and maybe even some of the 3.5s.
Sure.
I just think the good bits are good, the bad bits are bad.
Yeah, that's how it's fair. That's down the line. Josh?
I'd go 3.5.
Yep.
Probably the more we've talked about it here, I've been like, oh God, I probably want to give this less actually.
Yeah, right.
But I think 3.5, it's enjoyable. I think a lot of people could watch it and not
pick up on the more, yeah.
And at that point, it can be, it's an
entertaining action thriller,
it did remind me too much of City of God, and
like a lesser version of it too. Yeah.
And the narration, I remember about halfway through going, "Oh wow, like this is."
You gotta shut up, man. You gotta just
like
please.
City of God did it, but it
just worked for some reason.
But it also stops at some point,
that's true,
and then you're like, it's like, okay, now it's up to you.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like not going to let go of your hand. It's kind of the whole way through. It's
baiting you through it.
Every single thing he thinks and he feels, he's just saying out.
Do you remember if the second one is like is
I don't remember. No, I haven't seen the second one probably in like 15 years.
Yeah.
So I'm
probably the same.
Watch it again. So. I'm a 3.5 as well, and ultimately for the same reasons. I just think I wish this movie had a stronger stance, but technically it's really great. I love very kinetic, visceral direction and editing, and this film has a lot of that.
It does, yeah.
The acting is fantastic as well. So Kieran said it well. The good is good and the bad is bad.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably more things I liked than disliked, but when they are as noticeable as they are, and you do walk away feeling a little bit unsatisfied with the moral compass of the film. So that's a 3.5 for me, which is also like a 2 for most normal cinephiles. So it's like I'm a generous man. But that was Elite Squad, our first trip to Brazil, but not our last trip to Brazil.
No,
because we are back to in the rotational cycle of this show, the Academy Award International Film winner for 2025. Well, a 2024 film for the 2025.
Yeah, because we had the Oscars a couple of months ago.
Now. So, and the winner of that film was from the director of City of God, I believe, Walter Salles. Did he do City of God as well?
No.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
He didn't do City of God.
What did he do that I have seen though? Are we sure about this? We can edit. We can edit this out, guys.
We'll fix it in post.
Oh no,
Central Station
is sorry, yes, okay. Which is a film we were talking about someone last night actually, funnily enough. But yes, so I'm Still Here won the Academy Award for Best International Feature this year, starring Fernando Torres, and is based on a true story of and said during another very politically unrestful time in Brazil's history, where a local politician is abducted by a militia, and it's sort of more about the wife's point of view of this story. So
how his family kind of deal with this, his disappearance and sort of the corruption within the government. Another very sort of emotionally, politically charged film.
We'll definitely talk about it more, but it is also very much a film of two halves, which I think is an incredible way to tell this story. Ultimately, so yes,
very glad we're talking about that and not.
Apologies, Walter Salles. Walter Salles was a producer on City of God.
Oh, there you go.
So
saved yourself a bit of face there.
Wasn't too far off.
Really excited to talk about that next, and that'll be next month's episode.
Yes,
or our next episode, depending on our release schedule. It'll be coming out soon.
Hey, just hold your horses. All right?
But once we resume normal programming and get back into our picks, it'll be back to Josh.
Yes.
Josh, do you have a film for us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing.
I'm Still Here.
I was tossing up between two, but I'm just going with one.
I love it.
We're stuck in South America at the moment, so I thought, all right, let's get out of there. Let's take a flight. We'll go around
before Bob gets us.
Before
Bob kills us.
That's right. I've only seen this film once. You may have both seen it. It's a movie that I did really love to begin with. It's a very different film. We're going to Sweden.
Oh, okay.
It's a Swedish, Denmark, Danish production.
Yep.
2018.
Oh.
So a bit more recent.
Yeah.
The film is called Border.
Oh, I've heard of this. I haven't seen it though.
Have seen it, Nick?
Oh, I might have.
It's called Border.
Border is in like
as in
country, or as in like someone living somewhere. Like
as in
I haven't
country.
seen this film, but
the synopsis is when a border guard with a sixth sense for identifying smugglers encounters the first person she cannot prove is guilty, she's forced to confront terrifying revelations about herself and humankind.
This is fun.
Interesting.
It's directed by Ali Abbasi, who just did The Apprentice.
Ooh, I've been wanting to watch more of Ali
cool.
Abbasi's stuff.
Oh, I didn't realize
Holy
that.
Spider and The Apprentice, which are 2 movies I have seen. So
yeah.
an Iranian director doing a Swedish film.
Because he's Iranian Danish.
Yeah.
He is too. There we go. Yeah, Iranian
Okay,
Danish.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Ali Abbasi loved the visual stylings of both Holy Spider and The Apprentice. So
Okay.
I haven't seen Border.
I'll tell you what Ali Abbasi also directed.
Yeah.
A couple of episodes of The Last of Us.
He did season 1. Or season 2 has he done, or was it season 1?
I think it was the last couple of episodes of season 1.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
The Apprentice was fantastic.
Yeah.
So very much looking forward to that.
Love it.
Great pick.
Okay. Very
Excited
exciting.
for that.
Very, very exciting. So there we go.
Good.
So
Yeah. I mean, I think I saw it around when it came out. So maybe 2019 here I saw it, and I haven't seen it since.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I thought, well.
Oh, fantastic. We've not done a Swedish film, I don't think.
I don't know. I don't think so.
We've done Norwegian.
We've done Norwegian.
We've done Finnish. We've done Danish. I don't know if we've done Swedish.
Oh, okay. Well, that was.
Check it out for us.
Next episode coming to you live from IKEA.
Oh, wow.
So
Well, there we go.
I went there the other day. $5 breakfast.
Yes, brilliant.
Unbelievable.
Nice.
Truly brilliant.
Shout out IKEA.
Cost of living.
I know.
Because he lives.
Cost me $15 in fuel to drive there.
Yeah. So it was a $20
And then you
breakfast.
spend $700.
Fine, it was a
Stuff I don't
$1,000 breakfast.
Yeah.
On a really nice bookcase because of it.
Oh,
But that's another episode. Thank you all very much for joining us. All of our links to our socials and letterboxes are in the description. Make sure wherever you're listening or watching us that you subscribe or follow the feed. Helps us out a lot. But thank you all again for joining us, and we'll see you next month for another episode of That 1 Inch Barrier.
see you then.
Bye.